All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're headed to Harbin, China.
Ooh, Harbin.
We've got a travel blog post and some snippets from FlightNHotels.com, so kind of like a starter kit to this really, really interesting city.
Yeah, Harbin's pretty unique. You've got this kind of this blend of like Russian and Chinese cultures, and
Mhm.
then all surrounded by these amazing winter landscapes.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows it for the ice sculptures, right?
Yeah.
But our blog post is hinting that there's so much more to it than just that.
Yeah.
So whether you're like, I don't know, just kind of armchair traveling,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe frankly thinking about a trip, or, just like to learn new things,
Yeah.
stick with us.
And remember that booking website, they're trying to sell you something, right?
Yeah,
So we'll cut through the hype and get to what's really cool about Harbin.
absolutely. Okay, first up, the Harbin International Ice and Snow Sculpture Festival.
Okay.
This is not your average ice carving competition, right? This
Wow.
is January and February every year. They turn the whole city into this winter wonderland of sculptures.
I've seen pictures. It's pretty amazing.
We're talking buildings, like structures the size of buildings, all lit up at night.
And it's not even just like the size that gets me. It's the fact that they have artists from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
You can have like Russian ice sculptors working alongside Chinese artists, each bringing their own traditions and their own techniques.
That's so cool.
It's like a global art project turning Harbin into this melting pot of talent, you know?
I love that about travel. It's those unexpected intersections of cultures.
Totally.
Now, I got to admit, I had this vision of Harbin as like the ice city and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But this blog post is like, no, there's a whole other story here.
It's a city with layers.
Right.
Like, for example, the St. Sophia Cathedral,
Oh, yeah.
this incredible example of Russian Orthodox architecture, but it's a museum now,
Wow.
right in the heart of China. I mean, that says a lot about Harbin's history.
That's going on the must-see list.
For sure.
And then for families, the blog recommends Harbin Polarland.
Polarland, yeah.
Like polar animals galore, and they even have like an animal show.
Oh, fun.
And then there's Yabuli Ski Resort, which is apparently China's largest.
I did not know that.
Apparently they even have luxury resorts there, so you can really go all out on a ski vacation.
Huh. Fancy.
But what really caught my eye is this mention of Harbin Central Street. It's like a pedestrian-only zone,
Okay.
and it's lined with all these European-style buildings. Can you imagine, like, strolling down that street, popping into shops, trying Harbin-style ice cream?
Wait, Harbin-style ice cream.
Yeah, what is that?
That's the thing. The blog just mentions it, but I'm already imagining these crazy flavors, like maybe a little Russian influence in there, mixed with traditional Chinese ingredients.
I know, right?
These little details, that's what makes a place come alive, you know?
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious about the food scene.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so there are two other attractions that really caught my eye. I kind of want to dig into them a little bit deeper.
Okay, lay it on me.
First up, the Sun Island Scenic Area.
Sun Island, yeah. The blog says it's amazing year-round, but especially magical in winter.
Really?
Apparently, the snow sculptures on Sun Island, they rival the ones at the main festival.
I'm not here.
So if you want that same, like, artistic wow factor, but maybe
Right.
a little less crowded,
Oh, I
it
see.
sounds like the spot.
Total hidden gem vibes.
For sure.
And then there's this Harbin Jewish New Village, which reveals this whole side of Harbin's history I had no clue about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a Jewish community thriving in Harbin in the early 20th century.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
The blog mentions like a cemetery and a museum, so you could really get a glimpse into this often overlooked part of the city's past.
That's so cool.
I know.
It's like a hidden piece of history right there in the middle of China.
Exactly.
Makes you realize that travel can just open your eyes to those like surprising connections and historical threads you'd never expect.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so FlightNHotels.com. Definitely pushing, like, the ease of booking and the discounts and reaching tons of destinations.
Yeah.
Helpful, I guess, if you're ready to book a flight, but not exactly the core of our deep dive today.
No, but you know what is kind of interesting is that they emphasize flights from like Beijing, Moscow, all these major cities.
Oh, yeah?
So it tells me that Harbin is like really well connected, easily accessible to travelers from all over.
They're really painting it as a global destination, not just a regional thing.
Right, exactly. And that kind of makes sense given all the diverse cultural influences we've been talking about.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so just to recap, we've got this incredible ice festival, Russian architecture, European-style streets, a hint of Jewish history.
It's a lot.
It sounds like Harbin has way more to offer than just, the winter landscapes.
It's a city that kind of like defies expectations, and that's what makes it so interesting.
I agree. Now, I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this Harbin Ice and Snow Sculpture Festival.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously a major highlight, but what else can we pull from our sources?
Well, the blog really hammers home the scale of these sculptures. Like, they
Okay.
actually compare them to the size of buildings.
Oh yeah, and they mentioned that they're best seen at night.
Oh, really?
Like when they're all lit up. Can you imagine
Mhm.
all these giant, like glowing ice structures
Wow.
against the night sky?
That's got to be amazing.
And it's not just local artists, remember. They bring in talent from all over the world,
Right.
which makes it like a truly international event.
It's a showcase of so many different styles, different cultures,
hmm
all expressed through ice.
That's pretty amazing.
And it just goes to show, like, the broader appeal of Harbin.
Yeah.
It's attracting people from all over who want to experience something unique.
So we've got the ice festival, the Russian influences, the European-style streets.
Yeah,
It sounds like a pretty cosmopolitan city.
it does, doesn't it?
Doesn't
And that diversity isn't just in the architecture, right? Remember that mention of Harbin-style ice cream?
That's been stuck in my head since you said it.
Me too, me too.
I'm just like wondering what other unique culinary experiences you could have in Harbin, you know?
What's the food scene like?
Yeah. What are the local specialties?
That's the thing, though. Our sources don't really say much about the food.
Oh,
It's
Mila?
like a total mystery, which kind of makes it even more exciting, you know?
I know. It's like we've got this amazing destination,
Yeah.
but then there's this whole other like culinary adventure just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. That's part of the fun of travel.
Oh, yeah.
The anticipation of the unknown.
The thrill of discovery.
All that.
Okay, before we get totally lost in food fantasies, let's get back to some of those other attractions like that Sun Island Scenic Area.
Right, right.
The blog made it sound pretty unmissable, especially in winter.
What really stood out to me was how they emphasized the snow sculptures on Sun Island.
Mhm.
Like, they're saying they're as good as the ones at the main festival.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a hidden gem for those who want that artistry, but maybe in a calmer setting.
Yeah, I'm picturing it like snow sculptures, but then like a frozen river, snow-covered trees.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Super serene.
And then you've got the Harbin Jewish New Village, which shows this whole other side of the city's history.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Tell me more.
Like a thriving Jewish community in Harbin in the early 1900s, that's not something you hear every day.
It's not.
And it just makes you realize, like, history is full of surprises.
Totally.
You know, the most unexpected places can have the most captivating stories.
Absolutely.
The blog mentions the Harbin Jewish Cemetery
Yeah.
and the Harbin Jewish Museum as places to check out.
Oh, wow.
I can only imagine, like, how poignant, how thought-provoking those sites must be.
Yeah, to actually connect with this unique part of Harbin's past.
Yeah.
It's got to be something else. Yeah, it's kind of amazing how these deep dives always uncover these, like, hidden layers of history, even in places you think you know something about.
It's all about the curiosity, right?
For sure.
There's always something more to learn.
Oh.
Speaking of learning, you know what I'm curious about? We talked about that Russian influence in Harbin,
Mhm.
but I'd love to know how that even happened.
Yeah.
Like, what historical events led to such a strong Russian presence in that part of China?
Oh, that's a good question. It's not just some random cultural thing. There's
Yeah.
a whole story there.
Right.
So, Harbin's Russian roots, they go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s,
Okay.
during the construction of the Chinese Eastern Railway.
So it wasn't just cultural exchange.
No.
There was, like, economic and political stuff happening, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This railway project brought a ton of Russian workers and engineers to Harbin.
Right.
And of course, they brought their culture, their traditions, their
Yeah.
architecture, their food, their whole way of life.
It all left a mark.
It did, yeah. I mean, imagine how different Harbin might be today if things had gone differently back then.
Right. It makes you think.
It's like every place we travel to is shaped by these, like, intricate webs of history.
Yeah.
And understanding that just adds so much depth to the experience.
Absolutely. It's like you're not just visiting a place, you're stepping into a story.
I love that.
And speaking of stories, that blog post we read really painted such a vibrant picture of modern-day Harbin.
It did, didn't it? And I think that vibrancy comes from its diverse heritage.
Oh, for sure.
Like the blend of Chinese and Russian influences,
Mm-hmm.
the European architecture, the echoes of that Jewish community.
It all comes together.
It does. It's a city that's just so rich in texture.
And surprises.
Totally. And we can't forget about that natural beauty.
Oh, right.
The frozen river, the snowy landscapes.
Sounds like a photographer's dream.
Especially in winter, Harbin really offers that unique combo of cultural attractions and the natural beauty.
Yeah, which is probably why it appeals to so many different kinds of travelers.
Exactly. It's like there's something for everyone.
Right, history buffs, architecture fans, winter sports lovers, foodies.
Harbin's got it all.
Yeah, it does.
But
And that's what makes travel so enriching, right? It's a chance to push those boundaries and just experience the world in all its wonder.
couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Harbin, if you had to sum it up in just a few words, what would you say?
That's tough. But for me, Harbin is a city of captivating contrasts. It's where, East meets West.
Yeah.
Where history and culture are woven together, where you have these winter wonderlands next to this vibrant city life.
So well said.
It's a destination that just defies categories, It invites you to explore.
It sounds like the kind of place that stays with you long after you've left.
I think so, too.
Well, on that note, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. We hope you've enjoyed our exploration of Harbin,
I did.
and maybe even feel inspired to add it to your travel list. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.